One quality that we all have, I consider it the highest quality for a successful human being. And that quality is to be a student. To be a student of game of life. To develop insights, you must be a student. To develop wisdom, you must be a student. Being a student allows for this world to remain ever fresh. If you're always learning something new, you feel like you're growing. Every day you wake up, you feel like you are a bigger, better human being. You have grown. Growth is a natural need of human beings. To be a student, a couple of things are important. Student by very nature has to be humble, has to be open, willing, malleable, prepared to change long-held beliefs. If something new comes into them, they're prepared to change the way they have looked at life. Malleable, not stubborn, not arrogant. Student by mere definition is open to learning. To be a student, one organ is very, very important out of your senses, and that is the ability to listen. We'll come back to that because it is only through listening do we grow. You can see a lot of things. Without listening, you can't have real depth. It is said, a blind person can get enlightened, but a deaf person cannot become enlightened because you receive knowledge through your ears. Another quality that is really, really important to be a student is humility, humbleness. What is that? It just basically says, I don't know, and I'm open and I'm prepared to receive. Lao Tzu, the great Chinese saint, said it the best. He says, ocean is great. Ocean is great because it lies lower than all the rivers and the streams that flow into it. Because it lies low, all the water is attracted to it. Now, if tomorrow ocean decides to be proud like a mountaintop, guess what? All the water will drain away. So be like the ocean, so though you can be great, be open, be willing, be prepared to receive. In my humble opinion, two words are the enemies of being a student. And those words are very simple. I know. When you say I know, you can almost feel the windows are closing in your being. I know, and the doors are getting closed. You already know. So how can something new enter you? Avoid using this word, I know. Now, related to this, a good student refrains from coming to conclusions. Don't come to conclusions, because conclusions will close you up. Don't conclude saying, oh, my learning has brought me this far. My learning has brought me this far. And let's see what tomorrow brings. Remain open. Remain open. To be a good student, you have to learn the art of listening. This comes from great Buddha, and he talks about this in great detail because he spoke a lot. He gave many sermons, a lot of speaking, a lot of listening, and he used to say there is a certain art to listening. It's a three-step process. The first step is right hearing. The second step is the right contemplation. The third step is the right assimilation. I will explain that in a little detail. Most of the times when we think we are listening, we are not listening. You notice yourself and notice other people sometimes when you're having a conversation. Most of the times you are waiting for them to finish so you can say something smart. You are not listening to them. You are just thinking of what you're going to tell next so that all the people standing around in this circle will think you're pretty smart too. All the other people are doing the same things. God forbid if you're not even trying to say something, most of the times your mind is busy judging the words that are coming out of somebody's mouth. So judgment is standing there. I agree with this, I don't agree with this. This is stupid, this is good, this is not bad, this is this is that. When you are busy judging and busy just formulating what you have to say, you might miss something that might have a lasting impact on you. When you are hearing, just hear. That is not the time to judge. That will come later. And that comes in the next part, the right contemplation. Somebody said something that maybe stuck with you because you were now hearing. Go home, meditate on it, contemplate it. If it applies to you, maybe some other version of it applies to you. Maybe in a modified form it applies to your life. A good student does that. He contemplates whether or not what he heard had any value for him, has any weight for him. Now comes the third part, right assimilation. If you just heard something, even the words I'm saying now are basically just knowledge for you. And knowledge is just a surface phenomena. It just lives on the top. To make it yours, you must assimilate it back into your life. I read books in a very, very funny way. I never read one book. I sometimes have 5 to 8 books going on at the same time. But I have a weird habit. Moment I see something in a book that strikes me, saying, that's deep, that is something I would like to learn myself, I put the book down. I put the book down until in my lived life, in my daily life, I have brought that learning into practical in my life 5 times. Until then, I don't pick the book back up. So the book sits there calling me, saying, come and read me, Dave. But I don't read because I know if I continue, I will gather more knowledge, but I will have no knowing. So even if the book simply said, don't lie, okay, well, let's go and practice that at least 5 times. Now you will have a much deeper understanding of that subject. So after I have practiced 5 times, do I go back to the book again? And then again I stop. So this is why I sometimes have to have more than a few books going at the same time. You want to make whatever knowledge you gain yours. And you make it by living your understandings. You must make it yours. Teacher, founder of Sikhism, Guru Nanak Dev Ji says the same thing, but he says it in a very different way. Because he was always coming from love. He says, listen, contemplate, and then make it a feeling within yourself. Must make it a feeling inside of you. Whatever learning you have had, saying, okay, lying is bad. Make that a feeling inside of yourself. Because now it becomes part of your DNA. Feeling becomes yours. It starts becoming part of your life. It becomes practiced. So Use whatever you want to out of this. Always be a keen student. Life is constantly teaching you. It's just we are oblivious most of the times. I often encourage people that I get to meet, students that come to me, to make it a habit, just a small habit, that when you go home and it's time for you to sleep, and as you're about to sleep, maybe ask a question of yourself. What did I learn today? Better yet, you can ask another question also. What learning went right by me that I was oblivious to? I was not present to learn. What events happened around me? What words were spoken? What things happened? What events happened? But I was oblivious and I took no lesson away from it. Become a keen student of everything, of life itself. Allow life to be your greatest teacher. Now, there's one other little thing. There is no room for ego in a student. If you have ego, you will miss a lot of learning. Your ego stands in the way. How dare I learn from this man? He has nothing to teach me. I tell you something, even if I have PhD in a certain subject, I have to remain open even to a child, a 5-year-old child on that subject might open a different door within me by his simple words. Always remain open to more learning. There is another aspect of us that happens. Malleable mind is needed. A mind that is prepared to change. Mind that might have had a certain opinion and certain saying, okay, life is like this, but upon seeing something better, it is prepared to change. Malleable, pliable, not docile, not easily influenced, but having followed the right hearing, right contemplation, and right assimilation, prepared to make everything theirs. Life has a funny way of teaching us. If you fail to learn a lesson that life wants to teach you, life keeps teaching you the same lesson again and again and again in different forms, in different situations, but it's teaching you the same lesson. Until you learn and you grow from that stage, then different doors can open up for more realization. So remain a student. Another thing that happens with a student is that he respects his teachers. And a student turns the whole life around him, all the people around him, all situations around him into teaching opportunities, into learning opportunities. He is always open, always available, always learning. I wish you one blessing. May you always be teachers. May you always be students. May you always be learning. And don't hog this learning. Always pass it on. Whatever you have gained, pass it on with love and respect. Share it. It grows. Whatever you have learned, when you share it, it grows. It becomes more entrenched in you. May you always be a student. That's the only blessing I can give you. Remain a student. Always.